Nancy's husband gets hammered. Elon owns Twitter and is firing everybody. Ye owns Parler. Trump owns Truth. And the left is melting down without their censorship tools. More billions to Ukraine. Sunak is UK's new PM. Republicans are pulling ahead in the polls. And it looks like a red tsunami, y'all. Florida will not trans minors. Daryl Brooks, guilty. Get off of PayPal and Venmo. Tom Brady is single, y'all, and so am I. Rest in peace, Jerry Lee Lewis. Great balls of fire. I'm Mimi. This is the rundown. Now get ready for Politics Plus podcast. Have a safe and happy Halloween. Ha ha ha.
Welcome to Politics Plus podcast, where we talk about politics plus so much more. Episode 20, season 1. I can't believe we're almost done with our first season. Before we get too far along, I'd like to ask you all to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, iTunes, Spotify, Rumble, Amazon Music, Audible, and Anchor. Links are at the bottom of our YouTube About page. Joining me tonight is the lovely and talented Mel. I always say that, don't I, Mel? As well as two guests. Well, actually, they're not guests. They're two new hosts of the Politics Plus podcast, Christie and Pete. Welcome to the show and welcome to the Politics Plus podcast family.
Welcome.
Earlier in the week, we decided to let our new Politics Plus hosts choose our topics for tonight. But before we get into our topics, I would like Christie and Pete to introduce themselves to our listeners and viewers. We will start with you, Christie, and then Pete, and then we'll get this ball rolling. How's that sound? Sound good?
Sounds great. I'm excited to be here. I have been have my own podcast on myself, and we kind of all got together and met each other because we all have the same passion and vision. And my thing, and personally, is really empowering parents to use their voice. Personally, I am really in the battle right now and in the trenches for the school board race locally, and I've met so many other parents and mothers that have really felt impassioned to really get to the bottom of what is being pushed in the schools. So it's all about the kids, and I think that's definitely something we all have in common. So I'm just really super happy to be here.
Oh, we're glad to have you
Glad
here.
to have you on.
Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah. My name's Pete. I've got a channel on Instagram called That Is Old News, and I'll look at old news stories that are very interesting today with all we know. And one of the subjects that I've spent a lot of time on is the origin of the coronavirus, which is back in the news again. So that's something I've been looking into a lot with EcoHealth Alliance. So I'm thrilled to be on with you guys. I'm excited to be part of Politics Plus, and thank you so much for the invite.
Oh, we're
glad to have you on.
You too.
Well, on behalf of our executive producer, Danny, and the Politics Plus podcast crew, welcome aboard. Pete, we're going to start with you. EcoHealth is your topic for tonight. I want to read the definition real quick.
Yeah, tell me about it.
EcoHealth, it's probably not going to coincide with yours, but EcoHealth is the relationship of human health to the environment, including the effect of climate change, wars, food production, urbanization, and ecosystem structure and function. And I'll just be transparent with you right now and tell you I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to EcoHealth. So the floor is yours. Please educate us.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. EcoHealth Alliance, and the definition of EcoHealth is perfect. You know, that is what it is. And it sounds like a wonderful thing. And maybe that's why they named their company that, is EcoHealth Alliance. But what they do, at least they're a non-governmental, a non-for-profit. So it sounds like a really good thing. But what they do is they try to predict pandemics. And the thing that they're famous for is they're the ones that have been working in the labs on bat coronaviruses. and they were working out of Wuhan, trying to enhance the pathogenicity and transmissibility of the coronavirus. Now, why that's a good idea, I don't know. Why that's a good idea to prevent pandemics, I don't know. But they're the ones that specifically did that work over there. And we had some sort of an event where that sort of thing kind of came out. And the reason EcoHealth is back in the news is because they've just received another grant, and they are working with Boston University. And they have taken the coronavirus and made it much more dangerous. I guess it's killed 80% of the lab mice that it's been infected with. And how our
Crazy.
how our tax dollars can go to this sort of thing is beyond me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why these are the topics that I kind of choose to talk about. I have no enjoyment in that sort of thing, but it just seems like such an important thing to talk about it. And there's no major news channels that cover this. They don't talk about it.
When I
So
heard
No.
that on the news, Pete, I could not believe my ears or my eyes when I saw that the report about that. I thought, here I am. I'm in New England, so I'm not very far from Boston, and it blows me away that anybody could allow this to. I mean, how did they even allow this to happen? Did they just do it on their own accord and all of a sudden just come out and say we discovered this, or we done this, or was it someone actually? Are you saying that actually was something that they wanted to do, like it was
Man-made.
planned? Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
it's
how does that happen?
well
Given what happened with what happened in China, in other words, I mean, how they allowed it?
I really don't know. To pull a quote from a New York Post article that was written on it, $41 million that went to EcoHealth Alliance from our government, 37 million of it came from the Pentagon. And so
Oh.
this is something that we've known about. We're the ones that have put the money in to do this sort of thing, and that's the group that does it, that funds it out to these different people. And so, yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how, in light of everything that we know and what we've dealt with, and what possibly took place, how we could be doing it again, and what the mentality of that is. I don't know.
A kill rate of 80% is pretty impressive,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah, it's a hybrid of the Omicron virus and whatever else they were working on in
and we
Wuhan.
know it's not going to leak. We know it's not going to leak out.
I mean, I don't know.
No,
I don't know the point in it, but it seems like an important thing.
I
Of
would
all the
say
things that
it
go
probably
on.
is the point myself.
Yeah,
To be honest with you,
but
possibly.
yeah, I find it concerning that the NIH, has a lot to do with funding it, and
Yeah.
they were the ones that came out and said it's impossible that it came from a lab. But they're the ones that are actually the ones doing the research on it. So yeah, and then to think that they also pushed the cure for it,
Mm-hmm.
which now they're saying, we never said it didn't stop transmission. It seems like a big mess. And the fact that you never see it on NBC or ABC or Fox openly really talking about that,
Mm-hmm.
it seems even more concerning. So
I saw a brief report on it on Fox News, and that's the last thing I think I may have seen something on is it Epoch News or Epic News? What is
Epic.
Epic.
that channel? I think
Hmm.
I saw something on that channel too as well. But other than that, it's gone.
I can I say something? I feel like it's population control. I mean,
Yeah.
that's my honest opinion. I mean, you don't do something that gnarly um, for 80%, and I mean that's there. I forget what other was there another country, Pete, or somebody, or I forget who it was basically saying this is not okay to do. This is not something nobody should ever do. It's basically a biological weapon.
yeah, and that's what whether or not they're saying it is, it's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
And
pretty
yeah,
much.
it concerns me as to the reasoning on it too. Um, I don't know why, they would do this sort of thing. I know why they say they do, but it doesn't make any sense. Um,
What was
but
the
yeah,
kill rate with COVID? 1% or less than 1%?
It's less than
yeah,
1%.
So imagine something that can kill 8 out of 10 people or 80 out of 100 people. versus 1 out of 100 people say. I mean, if
Yeah, I
that,
don't know. I don't know what that translates to. I mean, it was with the mice and whatnot. It's just the fact that
Hmm.
why would you be making it stronger? Why would
well,
Why
what's
would
the
you?
who keeps
mentality?
it secure? Who keeps it secure? How many people have their hands in this thing, or that can actually let it, leak out, or have an issue, or oh, it was a mistake, you
Or
know?
just why even create it in the first place?
Yeah,
Right.
why create it in the first place? I
Where's
mean, they're going to tell you it's
the
for
reason?
research, but do we really need to have that research? Really? I mean, if we don't have it, why have something to
Yeah,
counter it?
it seems very possible that we've been mired in that kind of research for the last 2.5, 3 years. So yeah, but that's who EcoHealth is, and that's kind of the reason I wanted to bring them up, and I talk about them a lot on my channel, or at least the type of research they do. Um, because yeah, it's something that, like Christy says, it's we're out here, for our kids, and what kind of
Mhm.
world are we passing on to them if we're creating new stumbling blocks for humanity? Like why would why it doesn't make any sense to even weaponize something like that. What's the point
No.
if
Well,
you're
you almost have to
everyone's going to
wonder
get
if
sick?
you almost have to wonder with all the money that's been made on the coronavirus vaccine, if they haven't made something that's so many times worse than the coronavirus, but yet maybe they actually do have a vaccine that will will take care of it, and then we'll all want to take it, and they'll make billions and billions of dollars on that. So
The
you have to
first the
wonder if it's
first
just
one doesn't the first one doesn't appear to work that well.
well, that's right. The first one doesn't.
No.
The first one
No.
does not do anything. But what if they have a vaccine
Right.
that actually will counter this one,
Yeah.
and they'll make all those billions of dollars over again? I mean, it
Hmm.
might just be a big racket. And
It's
if it kills
always.
that many people, let's put it this way: if
Yeah.
it kills 8 out of 10 people, and a vaccine has been proven to work, you're probably going to take the vaccine.
They
I
might
mean,
just be. Yeah, I
look at
don't
the
know.
money, though. Look at the money.
Yeah, when you talk
It's
about the
always
money
about the
though,
money.
whenever you're talking about at this level, they
Hmm.
print the money. You know what I
Of
mean? There's
course,
been
yeah.
four times the amount of money there has been printed in the last I don't know how many years. So it's not about the money at this level. It's not. I don't know if it's about control or if it's what Christy was saying to
I
thin
think it
us
is
out. I don't know.
population control.
It's
I mean,
scary, but maybe that is
As
what it
soon,
name.
is.
hey, Christy,
Think
as
about
soon as
the
you
name.
said, it's, sorry, as soon as
No.
you said population control, I can see the bells going off in Mel's head because she's a conspiracy theorist queen.
Oh,
She
me,
Well,
Mel. Her and I both.
well, honestly, like if you think about it, like why this was obviously man-made. I'm just, I'm not a scientist, but from everything that I've been reading, it is man-made. And coronavirus was actually, it's been around for years. It's actually been within dogs. Dogs carry coronavirus. So it's not something that is new. It was just brought up. And the funny thing is, and I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2019, like around October, November, people were getting sick with a unique upper respiratory
hmm
infection. Like I remember we all had it in the house and we were like, what is this? Like I felt so bad. And I
We
had that
did.
lingering cough
Yeah.
for 2 months. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my goodness. So it started from them. And I started reading articles where way back in October, people were starting to say stuff, but it wasn't worldwide yet. It wasn't, known as something. And everybody went through this upper respiratory infection. And again, nobody thought about it. The moment it started hitting the mainstream media in January, February, and it had a name, this is where, oh my goodness, people started panicking. So to me, again, I do think it is population control. I think they sent it out the first time back in October, November, and they saw that people weren't dying. So I think they went back into the labs, made it a little bit stronger. And this is where it is, what we know now as the pandemic.
Oh, girl, you are like speaking my language because October was when that year is when my husband and I went to Vegas. And right before I could not, like, I got something and I could not stop coughing. It was the worst thing up, and here I am in like nice restaurants in Vegas, and I couldn't like get it under control. But it was just very,
Yeah.
very bizarre, and it lasted so long. I had it for probably a couple of months, and then I think, and then my husband actually got sick, I think probably with the first round because he was in Orlando for a business trip. And that's when I think that's where it all kind of started. And he was trying to actually, he was coming home from the airport, drove home, and he's not a baby at all. And he literally had to pull over on the side of the road, and he slept for like 2 hours and then kept driving. But like this,
Yeah.
the timing that you said literally matched up with when I got sick in Vegas, and then when he got sick when they really released the other one. It's bizarre.
No, and the thing is, my husband's not a baby either, but that particular time, when I'm telling you, this guy was shaking. I'm like, dude, like,
Yes.
he legit looked like a crackhead. Oh my
Yeah.
God, what's wrong with you?
He was layered
was
and layered
bad.
and layered. Mm-hmm.
I know one thing. When I heard about people getting the lesser variants, I kind of laughed at them because I had the real deal, and I had to literally concentrate just to breathe. Okay, and I still have a cough, like you were saying, Christy. I still have a cough that's a lingering cough, where it's almost like a gagging cough sometimes. They call this. I think they call it. There was a name for it a while back. I think it was long COVID.
Long
And I
COVID.
wouldn't. And there might be some truth to that because I've got this cough. I'm telling you that I can't get rid of, and it's generally about when I'm in the shower, the heat, the humidity in the shower, maybe, but I have an uncontrollable cough for just a matter of 15 minutes, and then I'm good again. But the initial sickness though was absolute brutality for me. So the variants, I don't even want to hear about it.
Yeah, we had
Yeah.
around my house, we also got sick around that October, like you guys were talking about.
Mhm.
Our whole family did, and we talked about. We said whatever COVID is, it can't be that bad as what we had, in that time. And yeah, I remember we all had it, and so yeah,
Yeah, and it was prior to it being called COVID.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
it's interesting what people, will do just to get a little bit of control. And I think they got a little bit too greedy, in my opinion. And they're still trying to get greedy, but they're getting sloppy as well, because every time
Yeah.
they say something, it's like they're going back, they're retracting what they said with, this vaccine. To me, how do you come up with something so quick? I think it was already in the plans before it was even called, Operation Warp Speed, to be honest.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at the WEF. I mean, how far out they've planned their stuff. But like, think of the name Eco Health. What does that really mean? Does that mean does that go back to the Guidestones? Does that go back? I'm just saying.
Wait, the ones that were destroyed
Demolished?
by a lightning,
Right?
thunder?
Right. So is that what their theory of what Eco Health should look like is going back to that the number of people that should be on Earth or the population? Is that
I
Eco
don't
Health?
know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they bill themselves as, that sort of thing, but you see that $40 million that's come in, 38 of it from the Pentagon. It is what it is. But yeah, I've started to think of it as more of like a triggering event, as opposed to this is the thing that got everyone sick. It got everyone sick very fast and created a panic, and it triggered everyone to go out and get the shot. And I think that I'm concerned that that's what it was. It's to, force everybody to kind of become in a panic about it. And then now you take these things, and now, we were sold on the fact that stop transmission and you'd be safe. Well, now just, people are falling out left and right. And
Hey, Pete, I got a question for you from Danny.
come on.
What do you know about the EcoHealth Alliance president, Peter Daszak? Did I say that right? I hope.
Yeah, Peter
Daszak.
Daszak. Yeah. Well,
And he also wants to know about his ties with Fauci and Gates, if there are any.
sure. Well, no, that's kind of the guy that he's the figurehead of the whole thing. He is the one that has put all the stuff out there. And whenever the WHO or the WHO decided to do an investigation of
Hmm.
was there a lab leak or not, the one representative that they got from our country to do the investigation was the president, Peter Daszak. The
Of
guy that is the
course.
president of the lab leak is the guy that they sent over to do the investigation. So yeah,
How
the
Wow.
whole thing.
convenient.
Hmm.
Yeah, how convenient.
How
It's it
convenient.
it's one of those things that I guess, maybe not enough people knew, but I mean, it set off alarms with me because I was on this story from the beginning. The one name you knew was this Peter Daszak, and for him to be in charge of the thing. And then when they went over to check it out, over a year after the potential spill, they were only allowed in the lab for 3 hours.
Mm,
And of course, they weren't
interesting.
finding anything out. So yeah, Peter Daszak for sure. Bad news.
Hmm.
Yeah. And it's funny because you said so it's eco health, but it also has to do with climate change. Everything that's been happening, right now. What does that have to do with health, though? The climate change.
Yeah, it's really just kind of a friendly name
Mm,
to, I guess, let it be passed through because they are, like I said, they're the ones that did the whole, whenever they talk about strengthening the bats coronavirus, that's what they
hmm.
did. That was the one project they had. And now, since all this has happened, they just received $1 million to do the same thing in Boston University, in this October, like this year. So it's, as much as up in arms as we all are about these kind of things, they're still doing it, and they're still doing it with the same people. They're still doing it with Peter Daszak. How he's not in jail at this point, how Anthony Fauci's not in jail is beyond me.
Well, he's not going to go to jail unless, he was Donald Trump or, you know, someone in that on that side. But
So
these guys, they're not going to go to jail. All they keep doing is pocketing money.
they sure do.
Lots of
Yeah,
money.
history's gonna know. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I
that's
just
what I've got on eco health. Bad news.
Nice job. It's not just old news anymore, is it, Pete?
That's it. No, no, no. I stir up a lot of bad news on that one. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But hopefully people are waking up to it and they'll put a stop to it. It's very promising on what's happening in New York. The judges are making the right moves for us, and so hopefully there's going to
yeah.
be a push forward with that.
Now,
Well,
I have
one thing I can say is that this episode will not be on YouTube.
thanks, Mark.
Well,
No, but
all this coronavirus and vaccine and eco health talk, nah, they're already
oh
on
no,
it. You
of
kidding me?
course not. But I do have a question. Now that you say that, do you, do any one of you think that, since it's been dying down and people are, they stopped wearing masks, do you think that if they bring this back up again, that people are going to react the same way that they did 3 years ago?
Yep.
Yep.
Hmm.
People are paranoid. They're shallow. They're inept. They will
I
definitely.
I can only speak for myself. I don't know how the masses will act.
Hmm.
It's hard to say. I can't imagine that there is. I just can't believe people still follow along with this. I just
See, same here. I don't see that. What I see, because, a lot of people, okay, they went and they got the vaccine because of whatever, XY reasons. But now the majority of them didn't go get boosted.
right.
Because, so that to me is a little bit, intriguing, because if they didn't go get the booster and they're starting to, bring this back up again, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but slowly but surely in the media, they're like, oh, it seems like it's going to be a dark winter again, cold and flu season's coming. This could
Well,
affect
you,
Corona.
Yeah.
you know
I
why
think
they're calling for a heavy flu season, don't you? Because they know that all of our immune systems are shot.
hmm
Not people who didn't get vaccinated and boosted, but people who got vaccinated and boosted several times.
yeah.
They're when this was right in the middle of play, I was telling everybody, look, here's the analogy. It's like standing out in a snowstorm wearing your underwear. If you take this vaccine and you're swapping your natural immunity for a synthetic immunity, so your immune system is gone. And we've heard this corroborated by several doctors since I was telling people this. And so, if you've got a good what, half of the country has been vaccinated or so, is that right? Somewhere around that.
So they say.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so let's just say it's true, and your immune system is shot. Okay, what do you think is going to happen with the flu when the flu comes around, and you've got nothing to battle it? That's why
You
we're
mean you
seeing
didn't get your flu
cancers
shot?
and heart issues and what's that?
So
You
What's
didn't go
that?
get your flu shot?
I don't do flu shots either. No,
Neither do I.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
No.
I think the dark winter is
What do you think
this
about what
winter.
I said, though?
Yeah,
Honestly.
I think they're gonna. I pray for everyone who got it. I really do, because like that includes my mother, that includes my stepfather, that includes a lot of family members that gave me hell and back because I didn't get it and my kids didn't get it. But I'm worried for them. I
You
feel,
should be.
yeah, I feel like the things that you see that are growing inside the arteries, you see that what's like the myocarditis, you see that you see it
brutal.
all. And I think, honestly, and here's one of my theories, is that I think when everybody thought that that Biden was referring to last winter as the dark winter, I think he was cursing this future winter.
Yeah.
You know, and I will go a little bit further into, we're about to run out of diesel. Did you see the Mississippi River driving up? I mean, there are so many things right now that we're about to go through. We're going to have to like stick together. And here's the thing too, is the Second Amendment is going to be something that a lot of people are going to hold dear to.
But that's not part of EcoHealth, though. What's wrong with you?
Now we're really off YouTube, Christy.
Yeah, sorry.
You've done us in.
Yep, we're off there.
It's all the things are kind of happening with the border, with the fuel, with the attack on our classrooms and different things. It's an all-out assault, and it's all coming from in the inside. You know, you would have never thought that we'd be purposely tearing ourselves apart, and you still ask yourself, like, why are they doing this? Like, why? And I guess, you know, who knows why, but it doesn't matter why, because it's happening. You know, like, that's the part that matters. And you're right. Going into this winter, you know, we've emptied out our diesel fuel for, you know, an election that, you know, it's already going to go, hopefully, you know, the way it should go.
Epic times.
Yeah, it's bad news.
Sorry, Pete. Well, Epic Times was saying that we have 25 days worth of diesel left in this country. Are you kidding me? 25 days? What?
He
And
was
the
on
pipeline
Tucker.
got
Any
blown
idea?
to Northern Europe.
What would happen if we had no trucks and no trains?
That means no goods to be able to, no trucks, nothing. Yeah, it was on Tucker too.
Yeah. Well, I didn't see that, but I mean, I love Tucker. But if when I forgot who sent it to me, I'm like, are you kidding me? 25 days? What?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, I can blink the 25 days.
Let's see how the election goes, because I also think this is, you know, call me crazy. It could be a ploy just to see where people's state of mind is at. And I will say this, like, I noticed today I went and I filled up and I'm like, what happened to $3 over here in Long Island? It's back up to $3.60. I'm like, you guys want me to vote, right? Well, right now I'm sticking to one way because you guys aren't promising or doing anything. What I just see more is more inflation happening. So anybody with a brain cell should know that this is not, you know, this is not right. And if they were grabbing you by, you know, telling you, oh yeah, gas is going to go down, that was always a ploy to begin with. So to me, I think all this is just to instill fear in people so they can start panicking. That's a good point. That's a really good point. Because they thrive off of the fear, and that's how they got us to do certain things. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got we've lost our diesel, and then Europe with the pipeline that busted.
Oh
There,
boy.
Yeah.
it's kind of going everywhere. So yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be really
It's going to
interesting.
be really bad over there.
Yeah.
Really bad. Before the pipeline burst, it was getting bad. They were clamoring for firewood because they were in fear of freezing this winter. And then the pipeline got, maybe 2 weeks later, got destroyed. I mean, what do you think is going to happen to those people? I think you're right, Christy. I think we're heading into. I think the dark winter that Biden was referring to is probably the one we're heading into,
Yeah, we
You
just
know,
have to
in
be
several
prepared.
different ways. Huh?
I think we just have to be as prepared as we can. It just, yeah, I mean, and hope for the best. I mean, Mel may be right where it's a fear tactic where they're just trying to get everybody to freak out. And I don't know.
For our second topic today, we are going to talk about challenges in schools, what is happening with our kids, what is it that they're trying to do. And I know, Christy, that in your neck of the woods right now, you have some school board elections. So can you please, indulge us with what is it that you've been doing with that, if you're, helping out campaigning?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if I can go back a little bit, where I think we all, as parents, within the past 2 years, I think the one blessing with COVID was that we were able to have our eyes open what was happening within our schools, and what was being
Oh, what's not
taught.
happening in our schools?
Right. And so what has been being taught, what is being pushed, what is trying to be taken out, what is being replaced, all of the above. And without parental consent, without our knowledge, and they were doing it little and by little. And this was just, it really was a blessing to be able to see what the man behind the curtain. And just like, how Pete was talking about follow the money, it is exactly the same way when it comes to education and where the grants are coming from, because it all goes back to the money. The teacher unions are very, very powerful organization, and they are able to lobby and impact policies with legislation and all of it. So I really became very passionate because I have 4 boys in the public school system. The youngest now is kindergarten. The oldest is in a junior in high school. And knowing the older 2 really is where I noticed a lot of it, Mel. And I know that your kids go to private, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was something that a lot of people did. Parents started polling their kids. They were like, enough is enough. I'm not going to have you teach these ideologies on my kiddos, when that's my job as a parent, to teach them certain things. You're to teach them math, science, social studies, whatever. And so that's really where I, as a parent, wanted to start using my voice and empowering other parents to do the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. My kids did go to public school. And again, I will say this, everyone bashes the public school system, but especially my daughter, she was excelling. And the reason why I pulled my kids away, and it was a very difficult decision, not only for us, but also moving my daughter. Granted, she was going to start a new building in middle school, but, it was the friendships that she made. But I had a gut feeling, and I told my husband, we need to do this now before the school started, the new school year started. And everything that I've been hearing is slowly trickling in our school district. And I am so happy that we pulled them out when we did. because I started to notice, I think it was especially more when I was helping out one of my friends. He was running for school board, and I saw how nasty and ugly it got. And one of the things that really bothered me was the fact that they were asked, the people that were running, if politics was behind that, and they all said no. And I'm like, that's not true, because a lot of them got endorsements from like not only private little sectors, like from big companies. I'm like, whoa, I thought politics wasn't involved in school, but it was. And it was, they disguised it so nicely. They presented to you in such a like a little pretty package, and it wasn't even that. And when I saw everything that was happening, I was just like, whoa, if this is what they're doing for a school board, just a little old school board election, I could just imagine what they're doing, inside the schools. And honestly, the agenda was there. They did not want to talk about it, but slowly but surely, now that I yanked them out, I'm starting to see it more and more. It was already there, and they hit it so well.
Yeah, they did.
It was just, and it's still shocking because, again, not everybody has the opportunity to yank their kids out and either homeschool them or put them in private school. But, I don't want to say that I sold out or that I just gave up on public school. It was something that I had to do, because do I want to go and spend all my energy fighting and doing this and doing that, or already knowing what's going to happen? Because where the money, like you said, where the money's coming from.
Yeah, it's exhausting. And I will be very candid right now. It has taken a toll on my marriage because of how much I am involved in it, and how much I am
dedicated.
Yes. And just being able to.
It's called being a good mom.
It is, but it's to the point where you feel like you always have to be on point. You always have to be on your head on a swivel. And it's just and then my personality, my normal bubbly personality, was being overtaken by me just being consumed of okay, how do I stop this? What do I do here? How do I do this? And then and then talking about it a lot. I see that where my husband does want that. He has a stressful job. He wants to be able for us to be able to have fun conversations and all that. So I think he's come to the realization that I am trying to balance it, but at the same time that I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to share and spread knowledge, and it's tough. And it's you see it with other moms too. And that's where I feel like I know that I wish there were more dads that were involved and as passionate as a lot of the moms. But I will say this, and no offense to you, to any of the dads listening or here, but it's going to be the moms that are going to come and save the day. I 100%, because when you mess with your cubs, you mess with the mamas, and it's not pretty.
Yep. No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
Not at all.
Imagine what would happen if it wasn't for people like you out there, Christy, that are doing what you're doing, and you, Mel, as well. I mean, what would happen if we all just, turn a blind eye to what's going on? Thank God for people like you, because we'd be in big trouble if everybody just decided to look the other way and whistle past the graveyard, as I say. It takes people like you to doing what you're doing to ruffle the feathers and make it happen. I agree with you. I think it's going to be women, moms, because let's face it, men are too complacent a lot of times with this kind of thing. It's the moms, because their cubs are being messed with, that are going to make it. They're going to save the day. I believe you're right.
Yeah, Yeah, I
It
think
is
there's like,
interesting.
yeah, go ahead, Pete.
I was just saying it is interesting that that is kind of the way it goes and why the gender roles kind of are that way. And I don't know why it is that way, but you are right. I mean, whenever it comes down to it, that's kind of who stands in the way on that. I was curious whenever it all hit, did you guys homeschool at all, or were that year that everyone was kind of in flux, or was it just distance learning, or
Distant learning.
Hmm.
yeah?
Yeah, my kid just now, my fourth grader, is just now catching up to the grade level of fourth grade that where he's supposed to be.
Oh,
And that's it.
really?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Wow.
because it was like a lot of like the basics, like, so basically first grade through until like catching up until now, that's like a lot of like the basics of reading and writing. And it's been a struggle because I'll get kind of emotional about this, but like I saw my confident young child be destroyed.
Yeah.
And then my two older kids, like we're all pretty social people and human beings. I think human beings in general. It was just, you could see the pain and the tears, and the socialization was gone, and it was awful what they did to our children, and I will never forgive them for that. I will never forgive them for that, ever.
So
100%.
did they stop? Because see, over here, and this is where I get a little like perplexed because I live in New York. Over here, it's very, very blue, and people were like very overprotective with doing certain things. But my kids, at first, my daughter started. She's in dance, so she's a dancer, and they would do, dance classes through Zoom. And then after that, they put them in little stupid little boxes, 6 feet apart and stuff like that. But to her, the fact that she was still doing that, it didn't affect her that in that manner. So did they stop doing activities where you live as well, where your
Oh
kids
yeah.
couldn't? Oh, really?
It was everything. And we were like one of the longest, even in Indiana, and to be out of school because
Wow.
the union kept pushing. It was about the teachers being afraid versus kids going
Afraid.
back to.
But,
Hmm.
these
I
same
think it was
teachers,
more teachers being lazy and jumping on the lazy bandwagon myself. I think that
it's
was
not
an
even that.
excuse.
What I realized, and I do have friends that are teachers, and I'm not saying it was them, but a lot of them would go, "Oh, I'm scared," but they're at a Airbnb somewhere else.
Yes. You would see all
It
these
was
teachers go on
complete
vacation.
horseshit.
Yes. They were on a beach somewhere that they had to fly on an airplane to get to.
They
Yeah,
didn't want the kids to come back to school.
a lot of them got very comfortable with, oh, I can teach online. Perfect. They wanted
And,
Christy, how do
their
you feel? How do you feel
salary.
about parents? How do you feel about parents that can't afford to send their kids to good schools because they have to work two jobs, or can't afford to have a homeschooling parent, say, because they have to work two jobs? What do you think about that?
my answer to that is that's why there's two words that I want to use that are not Christian like. That's why I'm here. That is why I'm here. That is what I'm trying to do. My kids, why should my kids or anybody else's kids leave their friends, have to give up everything because of the actions of grown ass adults that can't do the right thing, that can't put children first, that want to sexualize children, that want like all of these things. Like it's just so gross. Like we've been fighting stuff that's in the library, the neighboring district literally has a kitty litter box in the bathroom because they
So
wanted
that was around your school district, right?
For the furries?
Yep.
For the furries?
Oh yeah, and they
Are you
meow in
serious?
class.
Are you kidding me?
No, they meow in class. Well, okay, I don't want to get my older son in trouble, but he was meowing in class the other day just to mock them, because he was just over it. Because it's like how does an adult and a parent just let their child be like, oh yeah, honey, it's okay. You're a cat. You can be a cat if you want to. You can be a dog if you want to. You can wear ears. You can wear a tail. Like if that's who you want to be, honey, just be whoever you want to be.
No,
That's diabolical. That's diabolical in my view.
besides being
Yep.
diabolical, I'm gonna tell you something right now. If I would have ever, I think till this day, if I were to tell my parents that, my dad would come out of from wherever
Oh,
he's at and come and
you
smack
kidding me?
me.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
I'd still be running.
Yes.
Hey,
I
Yes.
can't. That's
let me tell my dad that, and I'm a grown woman, 2 kids, a husband. Oh yeah, I feel like a cat today. I think that man will jump out of nowhere and hit me.
It is. Yes. 100%. And no offense, but probably rightfully so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bizarre, and like the more that I'm getting into this into my community, the more I'm seeing parents where I am seeing a decent amount of parents with trans kids, and I'm just like, they're so young. Like, what? Why? Like, what? Why is this even happening? Is this? It
It's
just,
pure evil. It's why.
yeah.
It's pure evil.
And then they blame us because they can't be parents, that we're the ones that have the issues and we're intolerant. So
Hmm.
I just don't get it. I don't get it at all.
I can't put myself in the position of those parents to think that that's something that you want, like that, or that you can't. I don't know. I
I
it's
can't wrap my
unbelievable.
head around it.
I can't.
I can't even fathom. I can't wrap my head around it.
No.
Thinking this way.
Have you guys heard of, I'm going to go a little different way because I wanted to kind of give a picture of everything that's being fought in the public school system. Have you guys ever heard of the panorama surveys?
No.
Okay.
I don't know.
So that's a huge moneymaker. So we are paying for those surveys. I think it was a grant, right? They all come in as grants, and then they put it in a pretty little bow. Well, basically, it is a survey that is from, the questions are different for kindergarten, junior high, high school. But basically what they do is they have, at the older age kids, they ask you, are you friends with anybody of a different color? How many kids do you hang out with that are of a different race or ethnicity?
What?
How many kids there are a lot of questions that are definitely inappropriate. They try to get, they basically make you feel bad for being white.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Isn't that what CRT is about, more or less?
So these questions that they answer, and I think it's twice a year, I could be wrong, but it's at least once. You can opt your kids out. But these questions are tied to their student ID. Now there's mental health questions in there as well, which I maybe get some of them, but if you've ever had a teenager, which we've either been one or have one, their moods can change hour to hour, minute to minute, and then you're thinking that you're going to get a snapshot of like somebody's like, it's bizarre, and then they try to tell you, oh well, these are anonymous, and it's a third party, but yet none of this information is going to get out to anybody else. And I'm like, my kids are out. We're not answering these questions. It is absolutely bizarre world, but it tracks your kid. Basically, they want to track your kid and their answers from kindergarten through high school.
Wow. Funny that you say that. So now that I'm remembering, when my daughter was in middle school, and this was during, I think when they were doing hybrid, they had asked her 3 questions. One of them was, do you think it's fair for kids to get trophies if they didn't win in that certain sport? The other question was, it was pretty much it was the same question, just asked 3 different ways. And my daughter had answered honestly, because since she is a dancer, she competes, she's a competitor. She was like, no, you have to earn it.
Right. Yeah.
They pulled her from her class, and then they wanted to know, they pulled her and a few other kids. These other kids also competed, whether they did soccer, dance, whatever. And they also said the same thing, like, no, they shouldn't get rewarded just because, they were crying for it or they were whining for it. And they put them in a room, and then they started to ask them more. And she was like, but this doesn't make sense. If you don't, in order for you to win it, you have to earn it. And
That's
she was, at the time, she was,
bizarre.
she was like 9, 10. So, you know what? Again, naive me for not knowing at that point in time. But when she told us, we were like, why would they ask you that? So then I started asking all the other parents. I'm like, did your kid get pulled for this? And they were like, no. I'm like, but why did she get pulled? But
I told my kids if they ever came home with a participation trophy, it would go directly in the trash.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
That is horseshit.
Yeah, they have to
If
earn
I
it.
ever saw it.
That's scary, Mel, that they took her and other kids into another area to ask them the same question. That's like interrogation. That is basically like, I want you to change your answer, and then we'll leave you.
But she didn't. And that was the thing, because she said, it's not fair to me.
Right.
No, it's not.
It's funny. It's funny you bring that up, Mel, because I got a phone call from my son's guidance counselor the other day, and she said, I can't tell you exactly how the conversation went, but she was like, he comes to me every now and then, and we talk, and I just wanted to ask you if you'd like me to call you every time he comes to me to have discussion about. I'm thinking
What?
and is it okay if I use my own discretion if I need to call you? I said, if you think it's something important that I need to hear about, then I want you to call me. And then my wife came home, and I said, you know what? I may have messed up with the guidance counselor today, because I think she was angling to more or less me give her permission to talk to my son
Without your
Mhm.
about
permission.
whatever she thinks, or
Mhm.
she'll report to me whatever she thinks that I need to know. And so my wife called her the next day, and she said, by the way, my husband told me about your conversation yesterday, and I want you to know that if Case ever comes to talk to you about anything, we need to know about it. If it's something, and she goes, well, and her answer to my wife was, well, some things are confidential.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And I wasn't there with my wife, but she told me, she goes, what did you just say?
Ooh, Mel, you would have
Nothing.
got hot.
So first of all,
Nothing.
Mark,
She goes,
mistake number
she goes,
one, I would
nothing
have
is
been in the
confidential.
school.
Can you imagine saying that to someone's parent? He's 12.
Confidential.
He's 12.
I'm sorry. I'm not giving you permission to speak to my kid. Why are you speaking to my kid?
So basically my red flag went up the day prior. Okay, and I'm glad I said something to my wife about it. I want to make sure I wasn't just dreaming when I heard these things coming from this lady's mouth. She was essentially trying to angle her way in to be able to speak to my son about things that she wanted to talk to him about without me having to know about it, or us having to know about it. My wife straightened her out real quick. I couldn't. Can you imagine telling a parent that some things are confidential?
But see, this is where I don't do phone calls.
Christy,
I
how
don't
do you feel about that?
emails.
Pete, how do you feel? I mean, really? What?
It's called ASCA, by the way. It's the Association of Counselors for School Counselors. They are actually, they want to be in control. They actually, at our school district, if a child goes to their teacher or something and they want to come out, they don't have to tell the teacher or the parent. They don't have to. It is a secret between them.
No.
And so the school will then say, okay, you're a they, you're a, whatever it is, and the parent is completely out of it. They are trained that way. So it is, it is absolutely bonkers of how these school counselors are being trained. And that is exactly what you just said, Mark, is exactly how they're being trained. How can we get in between the child and the parent? How can we get
Can you imagine being a parent that's not in tune with that, though?
Well, that's the
I
problem.
almost blew it. I'm glad I mentioned it to my wife. I said, I think something happened today.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine how many parents are just going, yeah, go ahead, you can talk to them about it. Go, yeah, go ahead. Just
no.
your discretion.
Yeah. Yeah,
no.
Let me read something really quick. It says what parents should know. ASCA trains school counselors to hide students' sex and gender preferences from parents. They also partner with radical organizations as GLSEN and bring the GSA clubs in through K through 12. They advocate for pronoun and name changes, transition closets. Have you ever heard of those?
No.
Where they can change into a dress. If they are a boy, they can change into a dress. And then
no.
Yeah.
Big.
Oh, hey, Christy, I got a question for you. And all of you guys, actually. Was there ever a time in history where men wore dresses?
Was it Hoover? Was it ever? Was it Hoover that?
Yeah, I think Hoover did actually. I think there's some kind of thing with Hoover.
Well, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about just one man wearing a dress. I'm talking about men wearing dresses.
Well, during William Shakespeare time, remember back then the men would dress up because they didn't have the women. Yeah, didn't have women doing
kilts,
anything.
or are you talking about dresses?
No, dresses.
In Shakespeare's time, like Romeo and Juliet were all played by men. Like all the female roles were. That's it. Look at everybody on this stuff.
I'm not talking about playing a part of a female in any kind of play or anything. I'm talking about just as a general.
No.
Just dudes in skirts.
Attire.
I don't know of that time. I don't know of that time. Not where I used to run.
I don't think so. Then no.
Well, the reason I'm asking you though is because when you were just mentioning the ASCA, whatever that was, that you were talking about, Christy, about wearing boys wearing dresses. My son came home yesterday and said, "Dad, there was a time when that's what he wanted. He looked up plaid shirts for boys. Pink plaid shirts for boys." And I went, "What? Pink plaid?" Because my son happens to like pink. He's not weird or anything, but he likes pink.
No, my kid does. Well, my 10-year-old does too. Yeah. I
actually like pink.
Yeah.
But the conversation went a little further where he said, "Dad, there was a time when men wear dresses, I said, No. Men don't wear dresses.
The only time that I would see that is, back in the prairie time, the men would wear long gowns to go to bed. But that's about it.
Okay, but before I get off in the weeds here, isn't it kind of funny that you just mentioned that, Christy, about boys going in the closets and putting on dresses? And my 12-year-old son comes home all talking about how men used to wear dresses.
So did he get it from the guidance counselor?
Well, no doubt. I mean, it sounds awfully peculiar, doesn't it? Though?
Yeah. That's not like a normal conversation or thought that you would have.
It's been normalized with a generation.
And Pete, I'm glad you said that. That's the exact words I use. I said they're trying to normalize this stuff. They're trying to blend men to women and women to men.
Yeah.
Yep.
Harry Styles made a big splash when he came out on stage several times in concerts wearing a dress and pearl necklace. I said to my son, "Do you think it's known for a men to wear a pearl necklace?" No, it's not. Nope. They're trying to blend the two sexes.
Yep, it's called Baphomet.
And it's working.
Yep, that's Baphomet. That's who they, that's where it's crazy. So like they also these counselors are encouraging they're saying there are books to help those that have gender identity issues, right? They're like, well, we need to have these books in the library. Well, these books that we're finding in the library are explaining sexual positions. And this is for 11-year-olds. They're talking. They're talking.
Anal sex is a big thing too, from what I'm hearing.
Oh,
People talk
yeah.
anal sex and masturbating and all that stuff.
Okay. Well, a year ago, my school system went on a live Zoom talking about we need to talk to fourth graders about anal sex because they're experimenting with it. I
Excuse
shit
me?
you not. Yep.
Excuse me?
Can I say something right here? When I was in fourth grade, I never even dreamt of sticking anything in my butthole. Okay.
Okay, Mark. Thank you for giving us that info.
Well,
Seriously,
I mean,
though.
it kind of goes along with the conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Fourth graders are experimenting with anal. What?
No.
What?
No.
I'm sorry. You're not willing to teach kids proper English, but they're willing to teach them this?
Yeah. They basically they took down they had it obviously on YouTube or whatever and then on our site and they literally took it down because so many parents were like, what just happened? What are we watching?
So
What happened?
when you brought this up to the school board, how did they act? Because I've seen videos where the school board just wants, you need to get arrested. Oh, you can't talk about that, but this is what the teachers are explaining to the kids, and that's okay. It's not okay to explain it to an adult, but it's okay for you to explain it to a kid.
So,
Got it.
yeah, right. So I was at the school board meeting where we were reading the books out loud.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to read the books out loud that were inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
And they got up, they stood up.
And you're turning 9 shades of red while you're reading them.
And they stood up and walked out. They walked out. The meeting was over.
Oh, really? Because they couldn't tolerate hearing what they're doing inside the school to the kids?
Oh, it happened at a lot of different board meetings, but we were and here's the thing, when you go to our school board meetings, how they're structured is that you cannot speak on anything that's not on the agenda. So we had to sneak this in, and we had to somehow get it to where it was. The only way we were able to do this is there was something that came up with the library or something, and we were like, okay, now we can talk about what's in the library.
Oh my goodness!
So you couldn't randomly come as a parent and say, I am concerned. This is what we're finding. They'd shut you down. You weren't allowed to talk, and you'd be kicked out.
Interesting.
Well, if the moral of the story is, if there ever was a time to take your kids out of public school and put them in private school, this is it.
Or
homeschool.
Or you fight like hell.
There you go.
Yeah.
But,
guys, we're at a minute 14 right now, and it's about time to start landing this plane, I think. So if you got anything you want to get off your chest right now about eco health or
go ahead, Pete.
school board issues and so on, let's hear it now. Otherwise, we're going to hang it up here soon.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys letting me come on and talk about it. It's something I've been passionate about. It's the reason I stopped following football and basketball is what I always used to watch, and now I watch videos on this sort of stuff.
Stop right there. Hey, stop right there. Are you telling me you stopped watching football?
No, I still watch football. I just don't know it like I used to. Now I know about.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah, I would say the bread and circus, like the things that I used to love, like it just doesn't seem as important anymore. Whenever things like this are happening with our kids, like Christy was talking about, or just the nature of the lies that have been told to us for the last 3 years. So yeah. But I appreciate you guys letting me come on and talk about Eco Health Alliance.
I appreciate you guys just coming on and talking about anything like this, because it's fantastic to see people out there actually making a difference in our daily lives, because not enough people are doing that. So
kudos to Christy. She's on the front line of what's really important with our kids. So that's it's inspiring to talk to everybody.
I would love to see her in action at one of these meetings.
I don't know. You'd see another side. I mean, you may be cheering me on.
I think it'd be fantastic. All right, the plane's coming into the runway here. We're gonna land this thing, right? So, any parting words other than what we just talked about?
No, just welcome, guys, and I hope you'll continue with us and stick around for season 2.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, peace
Thank you
out,
guys.
guys.